A family torn apart by one mistake and healed by one truth. Have you ever looked at an old family photo and felt a deep pang of regret, a reminder of relationships lost and words left unsaid? Today, I want to share a deeply personal story of how one photograph became the catalyst for healing a decade-long rift in my family, a story about mistakes, forgiveness, and the incredible power of second chances. Family. It's a word that should evoke warmth and comfort, but for many of us, it's tainted with pain and regret. I know this firsthand. 10 years ago, I made a decision that shattered my relationship with my son, Mark. It was a crisp autumn morning when I noticed that my prized watch, a family heirloom passed down through generations, had gone missing. This wasn't just any watch, it was a tangible connection to my grandfather, a man I deeply admired.
This watch has seen our family through both good times and bad. Take care of it and it'll take care of you.
I could still see his trembling hands as he passed it down to me, saying those very words. Panic set in as I searched frantically, and then suspicion crept in. Mark had visited recently, and I remembered how he had often admired the watch. Adding fuel to the fire was a vague memory of overhearing him mention needing money. The suspicion felt damning. Without a second thought, I confronted him. The hurt in his eyes as I accused him of theft is something that will haunt me forever.
How could you think that, Dad? After everything we've been through, you still don't trust me?
He stormed out, slamming the door, a sound that echoed through a decade of silence between us. How many of you have experienced a moment like that? A split-second decision that spiraled into years of estrangement. The weight of unresolved conflict, the ache of missed birthdays and holidays, and the suffocating regret. These are burdens too heavy for any heart to bear alone. In the days following, I tried to justify my actions. The evidence, I told myself, was clear, but as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, doubt began to creep in. What if I had been wrong? The thought was almost too painful to accept. I made half-hearted attempts to reach out, voicemails that went unanswered, cards that were returned. Each failed attempt seemed to reinforce the wall between us, brick by painful brick. As the years passed, I watched Mark's life unfold from afar, pieced together from snippets on social media. Graduation, his first job, falling in love. With each milestone, the chasm between us seemed to grow wider. I became a spectator in my own son's life, sidelined by my own actions. The toll wasn't just emotional, it seeped into every corner of my life. I threw myself into work, avoiding the empty house filled with memories. Relationships with other family members grew strained as they were forced to navigate the divide. Holidays, once filled with joy, became painful reminders of what I had lost. I'd sit at the dinner table, staring at the empty chair where Mark should have been, the laughter around me hollow and distant. But life has a way of offering second chances when we least expect them. Mine came in the form of a dusty box in the attic. As I rummaged through old belongings, my fingers brushed against something familiar, my grandfather's watch, tucked away in a forgotten jewelry box. In that instant, the truth hit me like a tidal wave. Mark had never taken the watch. My accusation, my distrust, had been entirely unfounded. The foundation of our decade-long rift crumbled. The path to reconciliation wasn't easy. It began with a simple text. Asterisk, I found the watch. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Those few words, so inadequate yet so necessary, opened a door I had thought was closed forever. Our first meeting was awkward, filled with long silences and unshed tears. But as we sat across from each other, I realized that forgiveness isn't just about saying sorry. It's about vulnerability, about laying your heart bare and being willing to face the pain you've caused. I shared with Mark the torment of the past decade, my regret, the countless times I had almost called but didn't.
He opened up about the anger he had carried, the deep sense of betrayal. Dad, do you know what hurt the most? It wasn't the accusation. It was that you didn't trust me enough to hear me out. You were so quick to believe the worst.
His words were a dagger to my heart, but they were also a wake-up call. Our estrangement had never been just about the missing watch. It had been fueled by years of miscommunication, assumptions, and unspoken love. Through tears and tentative laughter, we began to rebuild. Forgiveness, we discovered, is a process, one that requires effort every day. It meant choosing to let go of the past and focus on the present. It meant recognizing that family bonds, though strained, can endure if nurtured with care and respect.
Forgiveness, we discovered, is a process, one that requires effort every day. It meant choosing to let go of the past and focus on the present. It meant recognizing that family bonds, though strained, can endure if nurtured with care and respect.
To help mend our relationship, we adopted tools for better communication, active listening, expressing feelings without casting blame, setting boundaries, and regularly checking in with each other. These techniques became our lifeline. The road to healing wasn't always smooth. Old wounds resurfaced, and trust, once broken, took time to rebuild.
I remember Mark telling me how the breach in our relationship had made it difficult for him to trust others. Every time someone gets close, he confessed, there's a part of me waiting for them to accuse me, to doubt me.
It was painful to hear, but it also presented an opportunity. We began exploring ways to restore trust, not just between us, but in every relationship in our lives. We sought professional help, read books on emotional healing, and worked through exercises to strengthen our bond.
One powerful exercise involved writing letters to each other, expressing our hopes for our renewed relationship.
Reading Mark's letter, I was struck by his resilience, his capacity for forgiveness, and his desire for connection, despite everything. As we healed, we also had to navigate the complexities of reintegrating into each other's lives. Mark had built a life without me, and I had to respect that while finding my place in his new world. It meant getting to know his fiancée, catching up on a decade of missed stories, and adjusting to our new dynamic. But with each step forward, the rewards were immeasurable.
The first time Mark invited me to dinner at his apartment, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude.
Sitting at his table, sharing a meal he had prepared, I realized we weren't just rebuilding the relationship we once had. We were creating a new one, built on respect, communication, and a deeper appreciation for each other. Through this journey, I've learned invaluable lessons about family, forgiveness, and change. Assumptions I now know are the termites of relationships. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, but choosing not to be ruled by the past. And perhaps most importantly, it's never too late to make amends. To those of you carrying the heavy burden of family estrangement, know this. It's never too late for a new beginning. The path to reconciliation may be challenging, but the rewards are beyond measure. Reflect on the root of your conflict. Reach out even with a simple message. Be prepared to listen and forgive, and seek professional help if needed. Most of all, practice patience. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself as much as the other person. It frees you from the chains of resentment and opens your heart to healing. In the years since our reconciliation, Mark and I have created new traditions and memories. We take father-son trips, have late-night conversations, and when Mark and his fiancée announced they were expecting, my joy was indescribable.
Holding my granddaughter for the first time with Mark by my side, I was overwhelmed with gratitude, grateful for second chances, for resilience, and most of all, for the enduring love of family.
Grandpa, tell me more stories.
And so the cycle of love and new beginnings continues. As you finish reading this, I encourage you to take that first step. Reach out, even if it's just with a simple message. Every family photo tells a story. Make sure yours is one of love, forgiveness, and second chances. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Remember, it's never too late to rewrite your family's story. The pen is in your hands. What will you write?